Okay, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to actually talk about a new property that we can adjust inside of our rigid body called add force. What add force is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to add force to our pong ball to move it to the left or right when the game is being played. Now why would we do that? Well, let's take a look at this pong ball, this pong game right here. Now you'll see when you play the pong, you have two players that you can move left or right. We already have our players moving the way we need them to. And we also have the pong ball, which when you start the game, it moves in one direction, and it will keep moving until it hits one of the sides. We're going to do the first part of that, and we're just going to get our pong ball to move in a direction when the game starts. So, how do we do that? We'll take and go into Module 5 called Force Method. Now, what we have so far is we have our two characters when we start the game. So what we currently have right now is when we play the game, we have our two characters where one can move up and down. They can both move up and down. They both have their box colliders and they're good to go. Now what we need to do is we're going to actually make it so this ball can move. Now if we want the ball to move, what do we first need to have attached to the ball? First thing we need to have is what's called, click on pong ball, click on add component. Let's add in a rigid body, like so. Then what are we going to add? We're going to add in a box slider 2D. Why rigid body? Because you know that when the game starts, you want the ball to be affected by a force or by physics. Why box collider? In fact, we're actually not going to use box collider. We're going to use something else. So if a box collider is used for squares, what other type of collider do you think we can use instead of a box collider to fit this pong ball better? This collider that we're going to use is something that we never actually went over, but if you were to just type in the word collider and explore the different colliders we have here, we're looking for 2D colliders because we're making a 2D game. We're going to use what's called a circle collider. Why a circle collider? Because it fits the pong ball better. The pong ball is a circle. Why would we use a square for a circle? Let's use a circle collider, make everything a lot better, make our lives easier. Now, here's what we're going to do next. Next what we're going to do is we're going to add a new script. So inside of your lesson script, I'm going to right click, create a new script. I'm going to call this script ball force 1, like so. Then I'm going to go inside this script and let's get started. Now, before I go inside the script, I forgot to mention one very important thing. In Unity has this very annoying habit of having icons being displayed everywhere. These kind of icons are normally great because without the icons you can't select things like the camera and move them around. But they're really bad because with the icon there, I cannot select the pong ball that's right behind it. I'll give you a second to think about it. Click on Gizmo. If your 3D icon is checked off, just want to make sure that's checked on. So, there's a slider here. This slider allows us to control how big or small the icons are. So what you're going to do is you're going to make it really, really small so you can still select it, but not really. And if you want to, you don't even have to have it be that big. You can just make it almost invisible. And then you can select your pong ball so much easier. It saves you a lot of time. Now, with that detour, let's go back to the scripting. Now, ball force. What are we going to have this thing do? We're going to introduce you to two new commands here. The first command is one I already mentioned, is something called add force. And what add force allows us to do is it allows us to add a little bit of force at the beginning of the game to the object so that it just gets going in one direction. It's kind of like playing kickball. When you kick the ball doesn't constantly go like at the same rate that you kicked it at. You get to the object, and once that force is gone, it'll keep going until it's hit by another object. This is really good in this game because it allows the ball to change in speed so long as it's being hit by multiple objects. So, add force is one of the new properties we're going to adjust. That property resides inside of Rigid Body 2D. Now, the next command that we're going to actually introduce is something called a random dot range. What a random dot range does is it allows us to choose between two different values, and it picks one of the values, and if as a result. So think of it like flipping a coin. If your coin is heads, it'll be a 0. If it tails, it'll be a 1. It's a way of randomizing between two numbers and a way of having a computer make a decision for us. That can be really powerful because we don't want the ball to always go to the right or always go to the left whenever the game is being played. We want to choose the direction it goes in depending on what result it spits out. So if it spits out a 0, we want to go to the left. If it spits out a 1, you want to go to the right, so on and so forth. How are we going to do this? Now, normally we would do this under the void update. But what's the problem with the void update? The void update, it triggers everything inside this function to happen every single frame. And if we want this ball to only hit once, so you add an only apply the force once, do we really want to put it under the void update? Most of you would answer, no, we don't want to put it under void update. Why? Because if we put add force under void update, it will constantly add force to the object, and the ball will never really be able to go anywhere. To show you an example of this, I'm going to actually just type in the command, just so you can see. So let's get component. We'll get the Rigid Body 2D, and we're going to get add force, and I'm going to do new vector 2 0. Let's do 5 1, like so. Oh, forgot to close this. And just as an example, we're going to apply this to our pong ball. So, for this pong ball, I forgot to do a couple of things. I forgot to add on the algorithm we talked about. Let's do that now. Choose the direction it goes in. Actually, hold on. Nope. We have it applied to the rigid body. I was selecting the wrong object. So let's go. Type in ball force 1. And let's see what happens when I play the game and the ball force is under update. You see how it just keeps moving? I can click on it in the scene view, right? Let go, and it will keep moving in a different direction. Why? Because a force is constantly being applied to this object. We don't really want that. So, what we want to do is, instead of applying the force to the object every single frame, we still want to use this component with this command because we want to add force to the ball. But we don't want to have it inside of the void update. We instead want to make a new function called, let's do start game. So I typed in void. To make a new function, I gave it a name of start game, open and close parentheses, open curly bracket, close curly bracket. And now I'm going to put this command inside of here, like so. So now that when I start the game, it's going to apply the force only once. But if you were to play the game right now as it is, and let's save, let's play the game. Let's see if it does anything. You notice that it's not doing anything aside from falling to the ground. Now, the reason why it's not doing anything is we made a new function called start game, so that whenever the game is started, we want this function to trigger. The only issue is, with the way this program is set up right now, this start game function is not being called. Now, we know we want this function to trigger when you start the game. So where should we put it? You should put it underneath the void start. So I'm going to call this function that I made by typing in the name of the function, exactly as it's been written. I'm going to do open and close parentheses because we have that in our function there, and semicolon. Now what this will allow us to do is, when you start the game, it automatically goes to call the function start game. When it does that, it goes inside this function and it gives the first command or whatever command inside this function. Now let's save that. Let's run. And it did something, but we can't really tell because I need to turn off gravity. Finally. So now when the game started, it applied a force in a direction, like so. It's not a particularly strong force, it's not going fast, but it did apply the force. So, now, what do we want to do? Let's go over this add force one more time. So, to use add force, you're going to do get component, access the rigid body, and you're going to add a force to it. Add force is a property
The only
within
issue
the rigid
is
body, so that's why you're going to do
there's
a
no
dot
way
and then go to
this
add
code is
force.
not the only issue
Now
is
add force,
the way this
you need to
program is set
have
up right now.
add force takes two
no
vectors,
way
the x and the y. And we do new vector 2, and let's do 5 and 1 like I did before. And I'm going to close parentheses again just to make sure that that statement is, everything is closed and the statement's good. Now, what this will do is when the game starts, it'll always apply a force of 5 in the right direction every time the game's being run. We want it to be able to randomize depending on a number or a random number. To do that, we're going to do random.range. Random.range, what does it do? Well, random.range takes the input of two numbers and it spits a result out. So the first number is the minimum number, the second number is the maximum number, like so. So we want to store whatever the result of this random.range is inside of a variable. So I'm going to do var random is assigned to random.range. Like so. What this is going to do is each time this function is being run, it spits out a random number between 0 and 4, and that result is put inside of the random variable. From there, I'm going to make two if statements. So I want to check if random is less than or equal to 2. I want this object to move to the right. Else, I want this object to move to the left. Like so. So each time this function is being triggered, it's going to get a random number between 0 and 4, assign that number to be the variable random, and then in the if statement, we're checking if the random number is less than or equal to 2, it'll go to the right. Else, or otherwise, it will go to the left. Let's save this out, and let's play the game. And let's see which direction it goes in. So we see it went to the left, which means that it was a greater number than 2. And see what happened the second time. Went to the left again, third time. it went to the right. So each time the game is run, it will pick a number between 0 and 4. Whatever that result is the direction that it'll go in. With that, that's the end of this video. Enjoy!